Hello Marvel Rivals fans, this is Life and this is Life Lessons Competitive, where you will learn how to compete in Marvel Rivals. The new Duelist hero Hawkeye was recently revealed, and with the footage we have, we're going to do a deep dive to discover what tips and tricks will help us master this hero. While most people will tell you what the character does, on this channel you will learn how to actually play the character. In this video, I will share with you practical lessons that you can implement day one on your journey to mastering Hawkeye. It's said that a wise person learns from their mistakes. A wiser one learns from others' mistakes, but the wisest person of all learns from others' successes. A quote by John C. Maxwell. With that being said, here are my initial thoughts on Hawkeye. I'm going to go over the pros as well as the challenges that people will have to face when playing this hero. Let's start with the pros. Hawkeye has a lot of utility in his kit. He has good mobility, AoE, great damage, crowd control, and survivability. He can handle aerial heroes like Iron Man, Storm, and Doctor Strange, as well as melee heroes that like to get up close and personal like Black Panther, Magic, and Spider-Man, as well as mini tanks such as Hulk and Captain America. A lot of his kit has AoE, which makes it easier to use so that you can focus most of your efforts on aiming his primary fire piercing arrow. Starting off with his blast arrow, which has a generous AoE, making it easy to land shots at enemies, feet, or nearby structures. Note the visual explosions represent AoE, not individual bits of damage. So no matter how many of the blasts hit the enemy, they'll only take damage from one. Moving on to his Crescent Slash. This allows him to knock back enemies that are a little bit too close for comfort. Next we have Hypersonic Arrow, which has two different functions, depending on where you're shooting from. If the enemy is a flying character and you're aiming above the middle of your screen, your hypersonic arrow can pull them to the ground while dealing damage twice. The distinction of if they are a flying character is a very important one because not every character flies. Unlike Storm, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man, who each fly, Moon Knight, Namor, and Hela are just descending slowly. For all enemies that are on the ground or below the middle of your screen, it behaves as a generously sized AoE that deals damage twice. His double jump is great for positioning on the high ground. His melee ability, Ronin Slash, can deflect incoming projectiles, offering even more survivability. Whether or not he can deflect ultimates with this is something I'm interested in learning. His ultimate is also very strong, but I believe it's a lot stronger in team play. It's really good for initiating fights, singling key targets, as well as making space when people try to hide from it. Next, we have the challenges. With so many pros, what are the balancing mechanisms that the developers put in place? Well, to start off, his passive, Archer's Focus, requires you to be aiming at a target to get the highest damage on this character, including his one-shot abilities. Now, it might be possible to aim, let's say, at a tank to charge up your shot, and then switch over to a squishier character to release it to get that quick and easy high damaging shot. However, the bright side of that is, as an enemy to the Hawkeye, you won't be one shot for peeking a corner if there is no one for the Hawkeye to aim at. On top of that, due to him not having any added survivability during his ultimate, like Storm or Hela, using it while in a team setting might be the best option because he's still going to be vulnerable to being taken out himself. Lastly, the most obvious balancing mechanism for this character is the fact that he's an aim-intensive hero. While his skills do have a lot of AoE, that damage is not going to amount to much when you could get much more reliable damage with a less aim-intensive character. So if you're not hitting your shots, you're not going to get as much value. If you feel like you've gotten any value from this video so far, I'd appreciate it if you could both like and sub. We would really appreciate you in the community, and we're going to be pumping out a lot more Marvel Rivals content going forward. Thank you very much. Let's get to the analysis. So you notice right here we have a hypersonic arrow on the part of Hawkeye, knocks Iron Man down, Storm finishes it up, and then there's the Penny Parker ultimate is on the ground right here. But the blue team just has too many people for that to really matter. They have a lot of momentum right here. And that is the entire team. As you saw at the beginning though, the hypersonic arrow really does a great job of knocking enemies down in the air. It is not a fun piece of utility for flying enemies. All right. Our Jeff goes down, the Black Panther takes out the Jeff. And shortly after, Black Panther takes out both healers, not looking too good for Hawkeye, and yeah, he's down. Thing about this team is they only have one tank right now. And so because they only have that Groot, as soon as one person goes down on this team, it's very easy for the enemy team to basically out-sustain them and just kind of push into them with their tanks. All right, so there we go. Now, right there, it was a perfect example of the Hawkeye's utility As you can see, the bottom left side of the screen right here, we have 1 out of 3 on Hawkeye's blast arrows. So essentially taking out those characters like, as we explained, Black Panther, so forth, so on, those, you know, the magics that can kind of get really close. He basically used that so that he could help out his support by getting those AoE attacks that don't require a lot of precision, and he took out the Black Panther as a result. Switching back, hypersonic arrow, yep, brings him down, easy. Now see right here, some blast arrows would have been good. Fortunately, he's able to hit the shot. But blast arrows definitely would have been the better option when you're dealing with someone who's that close up on you. At the very least, just to scare them a little bit. Now the Groot walled off the Hulk, walled off the damage from the other enemy team as well. One thing about this positioning though that I'm not really too big of a fan of, you should leave that to maybe somebody like the Mantis or Jeff, probably the Mantis, and realistically speaking, the tank. The tanks and the supports should be the ones pushing this card. Hawkeye does not want to be this close. He wants to be like maybe above, you know, getting like an angle across here, or just, you know, maybe a little bit further back so that he can clear this area, but you don't want to be directly on the card, not as somebody who wants to be shooting at range. And as you can just see, that right there was a perfect example actually. Fortunately, they were able to take out the Penny, but if not, the Penny would have been able to basically rush down the Hawkeye based on his positioning. Whereas if Hawkeye was above, that would have never even been a possibility. In all reality, this was a misplay on the tanks of Team Red. They could have both gone together. Yeah, it looks like Team Red was a bit split up, to be honest with you. I see a hypersonic arrow in your future. And indeed it was. Good use of the crowd control slash from Hawkeye, knocking the magic back, stopping her momentum. Once again, like I said earlier, our Hawkeye doesn't need to be this close in the fight. Because the reality is, all of this, you know, moving of the crosshair, and you can see right here in this moment, when this play comes, our Hawkeye's movement is just going to be all over the place. So as you can see right here, Hulk should not be able to just so easily get onto our Hawkeye. He would need to, realistically speaking, position himself much further away from the team. Hawkeye is playing in front of the cart rather than behind it. And then you'll notice right here, our Hawkeye's crosshair is just going to be going up, left, and right, trying to deal with all the people in his line of sight. And with the passive that Hawkeye has, the focus arrows, you really have to keep your reticle on the enemies at all times to the best of your abilities, because otherwise you're not going to be able to charge your shots as much. So, as you see, he's just going up, down, and all around. Once again, crosshairs just going all over the place. Had our Hawkeye been up here, however, he would have been able to have a much better view of this entire area and a much easier time of aiming at the Hulk, the Black Panther, and anybody else who would have essentially gotten in the way. One of the things you want to do as Hawkeye is just keep longer ranges safe. You know, keep it, continue to put pressure on people to not so easily just push. And the reality is this team has no shield, so Hawkeye has free reign. So there's just not a lot of reason for you to be on the cart or even in front of it, rather to kind of hold, you know, long corridors with Hawkeye at that point. Now, as you see right there, our Hawkeye actually took the Black Panther out with the melee ability. Never underestimate that. Melee is a good piece of utility for every character actually, and there are situations where it might just be simpler to just use your melee. The hitbox is literally everything in front of you. Now that was a great use of the arrow to basically just finish off the Iron Man. Right here we see, honestly, great target priority. Yep, once again, melee, no need to over complicate it. But that was a great ultimate on the part of Hawkeye, basically deciding, hey, Hulk is by himself, there's no supports in sight. Let me just use my ult with the help of my team and we'll just take Hulk out of the fight real quick. Now, one thing I would like to note right here, this would have been a perfect opportunity to just use your blast arrows. With a character as mobile, as we said, Black Panther, Magic, really would like to see a little bit more blast arrow usage. So in the future, for anybody who is watching and playing the game, perhaps, for these type of characters, just use your blast arrows. As you can see, misses quite a few shots on the Rocket Raccoon. Blast arrows still in tow. Just use the blast arrows. One other reason why I keep stressing the fact of blast arrows being useful is that when you're playing this close to people, that's really what they're for. Therefore, you're supposed to be, once again, further back, and the blast arrows are supposed to be if someone tries to come and dive you. You are kind of putting yourself in a dived position by playing so far up. However, like I said, this is where the blast arrows come in handy. Moreover, using our blast arrows, getting that damage on them, when someone is low, their movements become a lot more predictable. So as you can see, what happened right there was our Iron Man, he just basically had free reign. He was back here the entire time. If our Hawkeye was like right here watching this lane where Hawkeye currently is standing, we would have been able to stop the Iron Man from even coming through this little corridor right here. We could have been watching down here, you know, checking our peripheral on the right side, and we would have stopped this entire movement from the Iron Man. Truth be told, there's a little tunnel up here, right? And we could have blast arrowed the tunnel. Just for example, hypersonic arrow, blast arrow the tunnel, and essentially had some pressure on this, and the Iron Man would not have had free reign, because reality is you are the biggest counter for the Iron Man on this team, and you're playing so close up. So just all in all, I would love to see a little bit better positioning from our Hawkeye here. Well then, great start. The Rocket Raccoon was definitely out of position there. I do not know why he was so far up when the rest of his team was so far back. Blast arrow. Okay. Truth be told, that was just a point where you should have gotten out or backed up a little bit. Spatial awareness is very important in a game like this. You want to make sure that you know your team is together. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm gonna let you all say it for me. What should he have done against this small Hulk, this Bruce Banner? Did he miss those shots on? You already know. This is a questionable ultimate. This is a very questionable ultimate. They already had the advantage. They didn't really need to take that much space at that point, at least, especially not with an ultimate when the whole team is there. Yeah, you're unnecessarily having to look around so much. I want to show you all something really quick. Finally, we're using the blast arrows. Thank you. So I want to show you all something really quick. I want to look at the charge that these arrows are getting when we're just shooting them like this. 60. Okay, that one was 100. So I want to show you all something real quick. This fight right here that is about to happen, like I said, if we were up here, we could have avoided so much of what's happening. On top of that, we know that Hawkeye has a passive that the longer you're looking at an enemy, the more charge you get on your shots. Let's see just how much charge we're getting after, you know, our reticle being moved left and right by these quick moving enemies in our face. So I want you all to look at that sequence again. Look what the charge gauge was at during that part of the fight. I don't think I saw a solid arrow above 70. Right here, 28, 41. I think that was 20s. 20 something. He cancels it with the knockback ability. That was 60. This is our first 100 in a good bit, and the entire fight we're just running, moving all over the place, trying to avoid, shoot, and dodge, and we're just making it more difficult for ourselves than we need to. But fortunately, we actually used the blast arrows right there. Now, truth be told, they would have been a little bit better used here. Yeah, see, we would have finished Magic off a long time ago had we saved him for that. The Bruce Banner was not necessary, so this is a lesson in target priority. So, Bruce Banner, the entire team is there. They're going to take him out. You don't have to use the blast arrows for that. Use the blast arrows on enemies that are high priority enemies. Bruce Banner is not a high priority enemy. Bruce Banner is probably one of the lower ones. Obviously, you don't want to let him survive for too long because he can turn back into Hulk. But generally speaking, with the whole team there, you all were fine. The magic, however, look how close to being eliminated the magic was. Yeah, see, the team could have just taken Bruce Banner out. That was not a problem. Star-Lord was there as well. Now look at this. Okay, look at this is right here. It's a little bit blurry. It's a lot of bit blurry actually. But this is Magic's health right here, within an inch. You see? Now Magic is getting healed. This is where we use our blast arrows. Once again, good shot, but you can't finish because Magic is just moving everywhere and getting healed. Had you just blasted, you know, shot 3 blast arrows, 2 to 3 blast arrows off rip, Magic would not be here right now. Like 3 rapid fire blast arrows would have taken Magic out. Finally, we got the Magic. All right, nice, firing down range, getting some shots out. Oh, nice, 2 100 charge shots with the help of Groot. Takes Penny out. Blast. Okay, nice. Nice. Knock Black Panther back. All right. Great shot. All right, have a little bit of trouble. There we go. All right, that was a very interesting ultimate that was just used. All right, nice on the Magic. All right, you know, I don't dislike that ultimate. The penny was stuck and Hawkeye looked at it as an opportunity. Hey, let's just take the penny out of the fight real quick to keep the momentum. The Hulk coming in definitely halted that a little bit, but generally speaking, they got an elimination out of it. All right, right here you might want to back up. They have a lot of ults going off. We're also seeing beautiful, beautiful combo from the Mantis sleeping, the magic, and the headshot, the charged up headshot, just being calm at that point. Now, I will say the Hawkeye did a really good job throughout that fight of knocking people back. I still feel like the Hawkeye was a little bit too close up, though. I don't think it was necessary to be, once again, basically on the cart. But great use of the knockbacks. Blast arrows. There we go. Finally. Now, that could have been very bad. So the Iron Man gets behind the team with that ultimate. Honestly, the Iron Man could have gotten a lot done with that ultimate. I think had our Hawkeye been up here on the high ground in a better position, where there's a reason why Hawkeye has a double jump. There's a reason why characters like Moon Knight have, like, there's a lot of mobility options, is because they know these maps are built in a way to where you can use those abilities to take advantage of the high ground so that you can have a better view of the area. You know, we're up here. If a magic comes at us, we can knock them back. If a Black Panther comes at us, we can knock them back. Hawkeye seems to have a lot of utility to knock enemies back using blast arrows, basically enough to get either the kill or get you out of the way so that you can heal. And right now we're not using that. And so had we been up here, we would have been able to see the Iron Man come through, you know? We would have saw the Iron Man come through. You can also, you know, toggle to see, like, okay, the Iron Man might be having their ult pretty soon. We should be, you know, watching out for that. Haven't seen the Iron Man ult in a while. So these are just some game sense things that you can, you know, take into account when you're in your games to help you have an idea of what challenges you're gonna have to face. Good shots. Overall, that was a riveting game. I enjoyed it. Personally, I learned a lot from just analyzing that gameplay, seeing some things that we could have done. I think our big takeaways from this are positioning, making sure that you're in good spots, target priority, knowing, okay, was this where I should use these big impact abilities, or should I, you know, maybe wait till a more important time to use them. We got to see some opportunities where using ultimates was a good idea versus where using ultimates was not such a good idea on Hawkeye. And we also got to see some plays where the hypersonic arrow just got a lot of utility. To be honest, I think in the earlier parts of the game, Hawkeye's positioning was a little bit better, or at the very least, he was in a spot where he could clearly see the field, and Iron Man wasn't able to just kind of do whatever he wanted. We saw toward the latter part of that fight that Iron Man was able to get away with a lot. We saw on the second point, Iron Man was basically just, you know, really going uncontested against the team, and Hawkeye would have been a perfect character to take Iron Man down. But unfortunately, Hawkeye was in front of the cart on the second point. And then on the third point, Hawkeye, once again, just could have been a little bit further back. Now, they won the match, which was awesome. And at the end of the day, this isn't for the purpose of ragging on anybody or this person's gameplay, more so that we can learn from it. As I said at the beginning, learning from others' mistakes so that we can improve and learn together. I hope you all learned something today. Feel free to put something in the comments for something that you did learn. We have a lot more content on the way. I am so excited about Marvel Rivals coming out. Feel free to both like and sub to the channel. I'd very much appreciate it, and it would be great to have you in the community. Until next time, over to you, Jeff.